The 95th Academy Awards is done and over with, and now in lieu of the season, I decided let's move forward. Let's talk about next year's race because we haven't had enough Oscar discussion on this channel. So I decided to do something called way too early Oscar hopefuls for the 96th Academy Awards, which will be airing in 2024. I have 10 names that you should be looking out. 10 names exactly of movies that I think will be up for contention. Coming in at number 10, this should be no surprise based on the prestige of this director, how beloved he is within the Academy. I have Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. This film has an incredible ensemble cast, including Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh. You're going to have Matt Damon, Emily Blunt. The list goes on and on. On top of that, first, I think you could get some best supporting actors or actresses in there. With the size of the ensemble, it might be hard to focus on one specific person. But along with that, it's also probably fair to believe that Christopher Nolan, at the very least, is going to be up for contention. Whether he grabs one of the 5 slots for Best Director, it is unknown at this moment. This film will also undoubtedly compete for Best Picture, or at least is in contention to compete. And then along the way, you also are going to pick up the fact that Christopher Nolan is one of the best visual directors. So you're assuming all the below the lines, from sound to the visual effects of recreating a nuclear explosion, to the score, to the editing, all of that is in play for this movie. So I have a feeling below the lines, you're going to see this movie do very well. And that's why I wanted to include it. Coming in at number 9, this is from one of my favorite new filmmakers who has only made one film previous to this. He made a film in 2018, a remake of A Star Is Born. This is, of course, A-lister Bradley Cooper. He is directing and writing and producing a film called Maestro, which is based on the life of Leonard Bernstein and his wife. Carey Mulligan will be playing his lover in this movie. She is an Academy darling, already have been nominated for films like Promising Young Woman and A Bad Education. On top of that, so you got the awards, you have the chance of a Best Director, you have the chance at a Best Picture. Here's what I did not know about this film, and this should get you fairly excited. Maestro is not only being produced by Bradley Cooper and his co-producer, who he's worked with since The Hangover, Todd Phillips. They produced The Joker together. This film is also being produced by the likes of Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg. We'll get back to Martin Scorsese in a second, but just with that ensemble, with this story, with the Leonard Bernstein just effect being in Hollywood right now, as we saw in last year's Tar, it just feels like a very good chance that this film could be nominated. Netflix will be pushing this film out during the awards season, and we'll see if this one really can make the leap to Best Picture nomination. Coming in at number 8, this one may seem a little lazy because I'm only really counting it for 2 categories right now, but I think based on what the previous film was able to do and what this film looks like it could accomplish, I think this film is in great contention to be nominated, and in fact, maybe even the front runner to win this category. It's Best Animated Feature, which at this moment, I think Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse has to be the hands-on favorite. It won in 2019 for the first Into the Spider-Verse film. And on top of that, the first film had the incredibly popular Sunflower song by Post Malone. It's an incredible score overall. It's probably safe to assume there is going to be some new music for Across the Spider-Verse. And thus, right now, I think they are both potential frontrunners, and not just Best Animated Film, but also Best Song. Coming in at number 7, I didn't fully know what to do with this movie, but ultimately the director behind it, that was enough for me to push it into contention and competing. And that is The Killer, which is going to be directed by David Fincher. It is going back to his Seven roots. It follows the actor Michael Fassbender playing a serial killer. It is based on a French graphic novel. I don't know much else except that, but here's what I do know. David Fincher is a beloved Academy darling, being nominated, of course, for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Social Network, Rosamund Pike being nominated for Gone Girl, Mank getting a lot of nominations in 2020. It just seems like David Fincher has the respect. He is going back to some of his roots, and I feel like people are willing to embrace that. Along with that, he also features his common, along with that, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Along with that, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, the two members of Nine Inch Nails, are again doing the score. They've previously collaborated in films such as Mank, The Social Network, and Gone Girl. It all just seems like a package for this film to not only receive below-the-line nominations such as Best Score, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, but for a few above-the-line nominations such as Best Actor, Best Director, maybe even the coveted Best Picture nomination. Now, this film is going to be strongly genre-based in the serial killer world, but we'll see if that can lead still to a nomination just due to who David Fincher is. Coming in at number 6, admittedly, I don't know enough about this, but I know enough about the lead actor to tell you if he makes a movie, he is in contention. This actor is Colman Domingo, and the film that he will be starring in is going to be a Netflix release in 2023 called Rustin. Rustin is produced by Barack and Michelle Obama's production company Higher Ground. It is going to be a Netflix release. Rustin will revolve around gay civil rights activist Bayard Rustin, who helped organize the 1963 March on Washington, D.C., alongside with MLK. Colman Domingo is one of our best actors working today, having previously starred in films such as Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and If Beale Street Could Talk. He is actually also going to be in a film that I will mention momentarily, but just based on the quality of work that this actor can deliver, the type of people behind this with a former president, one of the biggest studios working in Hollywood right now in Netflix, this just seems primed to make an awards push. Coming in at number 5, admittedly, I don't know much about this movie, and I was a little nervous to put it on once I found out that this would be a full-on musical. But this is a remake of a previous Best Picture winner from the 1980s that was directed by Steven Spielberg. Spielberg is again attached to produce this film. It is The Color Purple, which will feature the actress making her debut, Fantasia. She previously played the role on Broadway in the early 2000s. I know there has been some very early positive buzz from insiders who got to see this film. Again, I don't know what to believe, but look at the cast right here. Colman Domingo will be starring Halle Bailey, who is making her debut in The Little Mermaid later this year. Ingenue Ellis, who is excellent as the mother in King Richard. This just seems like a recipe of a lot of great actors. Add on the Steven Spielberg of it, add on that Oprah Winfrey will be producing this film. Blitz the Ambassador will be directing The Color Purple. You may know him for the previous Beyonce musical film and visual album that was a kind of a company to The Lion King. The film is called Black is King. So he will be directing The Color Purple. He is a very young, exciting filmmaker coming up. This just seems like a perfect storm for this film to get a nomination. Coming in at number 4, this again should be no surprise. It is Dune Part 2. This is the sequel to Denis Villeneuve's film Dune from 2021. This guy, Denis, gave us one of the best directed science fiction films of all time, and he gets snubbed for Best Director. There was a lot of just outcry against that. How can somebody who got nominated for basically every below-the-line category as well as Best Picture, how could they miss out on a Best Director nomination? Assuming that Dune Part 2 is of same quality as the first film, so I think Best Director and Best Picture are very safe potential nominations. It also is going to have a lot of below-the-line support, including visual and cinematography, just as the first film did. And then along with all of that, it has a lot of up-and-coming young actors appearing in it, such as Timothée Chalamet, Austin Butler, Zendaya. Is there any chance of these people being nominated? While the first film did not, if maybe one of their roles is big enough, they may be able to earn a nomination in an otherwise competitive field. There is a chance that the Lord of the Rings phenomenon will happen with Dune Part 2, where Lord of the Rings went largely unrecognized except for below-the-line categories until Return of the King came out, and then it swept the Oscars. It went 11 for 11. There is very much a realistic chance that Dune Part 2 could do the same. Coming in at number 3, this is actually one of my most anticipated films of this year. It is called Killers of the Flower Moon. This is Martin Scorsese's newest film. This is going to reunite him with actors such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Jesse Plemons, newcomers such as Lily Gladstone. Oscar winner Brendan Fraser will be appearing in this film as well. This is going to get all of Scorsese's regulars appearing in this film. You are getting Scorsese's regular collaborators in here, whether it's Thelma Schoonmaker, who edited the film Raging Bull and won the Best Editing Award that year at that year's Academy Awards. You're having cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto, who is the cinematographer for a multitude of Scorsese's films, including The Wolf of Wall Street and The Irishman. This just all seems like a perfect storm for Scorsese to get not only Best Actors nominations, Best Supporting Actresses, Best Director, Best Cinematographer, Best Editor, Best Picture. This just seems like the year. Apple is very excited about this film. They are pushing it with the support of Paramount Pictures. It has a $200 million budget behind him. We don't have many Scorsese films left. It is appearing, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, whenever he makes a film, is a potential to be nominated. So thus, I'm buying into the hype that this film could receive multitude and maybe be the most awarded film, or at the very least, the most nominated film at the 2024 Oscars. Coming in at number 2, this is also being released by Apple. This is one of our biggest directors of all time, returning to what seems like a film that could just be so up the Academy's alley. This is one of our finest filmmakers returning to the historical epic dramas, which he's well known for, and he's previously won and been nominated multiple times for it. It features one of the best, if not the best, working actor today. I just don't see how this film is going to be ignored, assuming that it is good. And that film is Napoleon, which is being released by Apple on their streaming service. This film is being directed by Ridley Scott and stars Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon Bonaparte. The film depicts Napoleon's rise to power through the lens of his addictive and volatile relationship with Empress Josephine, who will be played by Vanessa Kirby. I'm pretty crazy excited for this movie. I think if this film is good, I think you could see Joaquin Phoenix be the heavy favorite to win Best Actor. Ridley Scott kind of falls into the same category of this is a guy who doesn't have many films left in him. Ridley Scott also falls into the category of one of our respected directors who doesn't have many films left to make. I just think this could be a perfect storm. Apple TV knows how to run a campaign based on the Coda's success. Vanessa Kirby as a Best Supporting Actress could be very realistic. Again, assuming all this is true and that this film is good and that it does end up being released this year. I know they've had some production issues from my understanding. This could all lead for the chance of Napoleon being one of the most nominated films. Apple TV is surely going to spend the money on Ridley Scott. And when you have Joaquin Phoenix as one of the most famous historical figures, it could just be one of those transforming performances that is going to be undeniable for the Academy. Coming in at number 1, here's the reason this film is number 1. Because all of these 10 films I've talked about, I've only actually seen the quality of one of these movies. I have seen this performance with my eyes. I can tell you that it is something spectacular. Even if the movie doesn't fully work, this has a really great chance to get its actor nominated. He's one of the biggest actors working in Hollywood right now. This past month, he has been just having an incredible career, choice after choice, just working out for him. He's one of our most interesting, beloved, up-and-coming stars. He's in the MCU now. He was just the antagonist in Creed 3. I truly do believe that this movie will earn this actor his first Best Actor nomination at the 96 Academy Awards, and that is Jonathan Majors for the film Magazine Dreams. This film premiered out of Sundance. And let me tell you, while the movie doesn't always work, Magazine Dreams has a little bit of messiness to it. Jonathan Majors is electric in this performance. I mean, just absolutely incredible. It's a pseudo taxi driver where you're watching a mentally unwell person do really dumb and dangerous stuff at the expense of others. And let me tell you, Majors is terrifying in this role. And my big criticism out of Sundance was Magazine Dreams was clocking in at 2 hours and 23 minutes, and it has a lot of messiness, and the ending doesn't fully go anywhere, and it has too many endings. But even through it, Jonathan Majors' performance really just allowed you to stick with this film and just kind of be blown away by what he is doing. He is so disturbing in Magazine Dreams. And the biggest news that this film has is that it was recently acquired by Searchlight Pictures. They are a major contender every year for films that they release for the Academy Awards. This is a company that could definitely help this film receive a nomination for Best Actor. I have a feeling that the product that I saw at Sundance will not be the same product everyone else sees. I have a feeling the story is going to be edited a bit. I think the runtime is ultimately going to be shorter. If this thing can come in at a brief 110 minutes, I think Jonathan Majors is actually undeniably great in this performance. And I think based on the popularity, the up and coming actor just taking Hollywood by storm, it just seems like the perfect way for him to receive a nomination. Thank you for watching. My name is Ben Friedman here from the Beniverse. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Take care and bye-bye.